Hey everybody, I'm JJ. You're watching Reality Survival. Today we're going to take a look at some items at Harbor Freight. These are items that I think could be useful in prepping, but there's no guarantee that these are high quality. We're just going to say that they could be useful. So to start out with here, we're going to take a look at some nitrile gloves. These can be useful in all kinds of things, from mechanics to first aid to whatever. I mean, these aren't sterile, but maybe better than getting blood on your hands. Then we've got fire or welding blankets that can be used to protect you from fire and house fires, as well as obviously doing welding as well. And then we got some good leather gloves. These are important for all kinds of things, and they're probably one of the cheapest places I know to actually pick up a decent set of leather gloves. Now we've got to look at some pretty high quality gas cans. And these are always great. These are the Midwest cans. Pretty expensive, but they are pretty decent quality. And then we've got just your basic hatchet there for processing firewood, kindling, and that kind of thing. And we've also got some additional tools for splitting larger logs and wood, and, you know, just in case you needed to cut up your wood for firewood. And now we've got some garden tools, garden shovels. I was actually fairly impressed with the handles on these. I'm not sure how good the metal portion is, but the handle was pretty solid fiberglass. And here we have a little submersible pump that can be good for transferring water from like a container into buckets or something along those lines. And then here's a bigger one, and I would imagine using this to set up an improvised shower in your house if you had to kind of pump water up high, let gravity pull it down low to keep you clean. Then we've got a backpack versions of little pumps there as well for sanitation and hygiene that could also be pretty useful. And here we're going to take a look at a chain hoist, and these can be really helpful for pulling up game and stuff like that when you're skinning game at your local house, and to help you butchering and those kinds of things. And then we've got some inverters. These are a pretty simple way to be able to power stuff in your house during a power outage. You can have them hooked to your car. And there's also larger versions here, like this one is about 5,000 watts, and you can actually, you know, power a refrigerator and all that kind of stuff with that. So that's a pretty good deal there. And we've also got some security lights. Solar powered security lights are a great item for home security to keep you safe. And we've also got some cameras here as well. I think there's some advantages to having a wired security system. The cordless ones and wireless ones are good, but the wired ones have some advantages too. This is a small 12-volt panel for keeping your batteries charged in like your ATVs, UTVs, and things like that. And then here's a little bit larger ones for, you know, charging batteries when you're out camping or in a bug out bag or something along those lines. And they even have the 100-watt panels as well, in case you wanted to set up a, you know, a little bit larger array at your house or something along those lines. And then we have the ever ubiquitous ammo cans, which can be useful for storing all kinds of things. They can be made into a Faraday cage, and you can also use them for, well, storing ammo. All right, vacuum storage bags. This is great for when you're trying to pack down blankets or clothing into a much smaller space, especially if you live in a, you know, an apartment or something. I like these little lights right here for my safe. I put them in my safe, and you just flip it on when you turn it on. It seems to work really good for that. And we got some solar lights here. Again, just keeping the exterior of your home lighted is always good. And you can also use them inside for an emergency. These little packets of screws and miscellaneous hardware are great. I've got a bunch of them in my house, and it definitely saves me a trip to the hardware store every once in a while. Shop towels. These cotton shop towels are a great item for sanitation. If you ran out of toilet paper, these would be really, really handy to have. And of course we got buckets at $4.99. That's a pretty decent price on buckets as well. Buckets have gotten expensive lately, but that's, you know, not terrible there. And then they got a pretty nice line of gun cases. I have a couple of these, and they really seem to work pretty well, and they're definitely a decent price. And then how could we have a video on this without the tarps? They've got a really good selection of tarps here at Harbor Freight, and the prices are pretty decent as well. The silver ones seem to really last a long time. I started using this horizontal E-track on my trailer, and I really like it. I think if you were going to make a bug out trailer or something like that, this is a great tool. That little device you see in the middle is made for holding a 2x4, so that way you can set up shelves and stuff like that in different configurations in your trailer, in like a box trailer or whatever, to set up shelves for holding additional stuff, or even bunk beds or something along those lines. And that's just kind of another look at those. I thought those were kind of a neat little addition that they started carrying not too long ago. And we've also got some chains, load chains, obviously good for pulling people out and stuff like that. I mean, those recovery ropes work better, and they've got some of that stuff as well. But good chains, always good to have. And then we've got some good LED lights. I mean, these could be used for a variety of different things, you know, for on vehicles and ATVs, UTVs, and all that kind of stuff. Here's a little cable winch puller for, you know, if you need to pull yourself out of the ditch or moving heavy logs or something along those lines. These can be really handy. And then, of course, the Badland 12,000 pound winch really seems to be a pretty decent winch from what I can tell for the money that you're paying for it. And then we've got a high lift jack, or their version of a high lift jack here as well. And I haven't used one of those, but it's very useful in lots of different situations. You do got to be careful with them, though. They can be dangerous. And then here's some associated recovery gear, you know, block and tackle and that kind of thing. And then good old plastic sheeting. If you need to, need to have some of that on hand in case you got broken windows or doors during any kind of a explosive situation. And then a little transfer pump there for transferring liquids from one container to another. Those are kind of almost one-time use things, but they're not too terrible. And then you've got some good extension cords. If you're going to be running off of a generator or something like that, you might need to have several extra extension cords on hand. If you had to shelter in your basement for some reason and you wanted to get off that cold concrete floor, these moving blankets are pretty darn cheap, and they do a pretty good job of insulating you and keeping you away from cold spaces. And if you're going to develop some kind of an urban survival kit or entry kit, then they've got a wide variety of tools here as well. You could put yourself together a pretty nice kit with all the tools that they have there for a pretty decent price. With the bolt cutters, make sure you get at least 24 inches long, otherwise you're gonna have a hard time using it probably. I thought this was pretty cool for those people who have long commutes. It's a pretty darn small e-bike. Not sure what the range is, but I thought it was kind of neat. So anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Let me know, what items did I forget? Take care, guys. Don't forget to live 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe.